Hi, welcome back to yet another video series. The topic for today's discussion is mid-level managers. Do visit our website www.tutorialspoint.com to follow the series of soft skills videos that we have facilitated, and we're really open for your suggestions and feedback. So let's move on to the topic of discussion today. To understand this further, I'd like to really make you all go through what the term mid-level manager stands for. Well, it is self-explanatory. Intermediate interface between an executive management level to a top level management, and somebody who takes care of the synergy, the operational success, and as well as the strategic directives of an organization is the person who is under the cadre of mid-level management. So to talk about it, the roles and responsibilities are simpler, something like to take care of not just the leadership aspect of a job role, but also to motivate, drive the team towards moving and succeeding at a team goal, and maintaining and retaining the team spirit. Moving on to understand the course overview, we are going to, we just discussed about the introduction, maybe we'll go a little more detail in the next slide. Evolution of a team, how did the word team came into existence, and what does the word, not just the team stands for, but what are the aspirational needs within the team and from the team members. Moving on, the aspects of a team, what does the word team stands for, and what is that you can expect when you are in a team, and what is the team spirit all about. A team handshake, cross-functional team, mid-level management types. And to conclude, we are going to talk about pronouncing leadership with a little basic conclusion as a takeaway from this video. To talk about the word mid-level management, like we've just discussed, it is basically an interface, a job role which is an interface between a junior staff, a junior team member to the executive leadership, somebody who manages and takes care of the views, suggestions and opinions from the top leadership as well. Moving on to understand evolution of a team, to talk on lines with the word team. Team, the acronym stands for together everyone can achieve more, like we all are subjected to this acronym more or less in a job role or maybe some phase of our life where we technically heard of this. To understand this in much deeper aspect and have a little deep thinking process, we will discuss these terms where we'll move ahead and start talking about forming, and then we'll talk about storming that leads to norming, performing and adjoining. So forming is the first stage in the team building activity, where you're basically introduced within the team and your team members get to know about yourself and also about their own need and desires while they work with unknown group of people. Moving on to understand, storming is the most difficult stage in this 5 stages of evolution of team. For simple reason, storming, what we basically do is we gather the information at the forming stage, we pick up that information and we move on to give out feedback basis on the job role, job requirement and job need as such. Moving on, norming is a stage where you qualitatively take brainstorming actions in a conclusion, and you really would like to kickstart working within the team with unknown set of people with the same desire and same goal. Moving on, performing. Performing is a stage where you've been given directives, where you've been given clear instructions, what is the achievement as a team together and what is the goal that you desire and as well as the organization has a desire for. Moving on, adjoining, a stage where you're not just connected with the team members, but you go back and reflect on the performing stages and the storming stages, because these 2 stages where we actually share feedback, analysis and observation as such. Moving on, aspects of a team. Well, the word team, as we all just read through and talked about, is together we work for a common goal, a specific goal which is not just aligned and inclined to an individual but also to the organization as well. So what is most important out here is to set out all the differences and conclude on a single plan to go ahead, perform and achieve what you have desired for. Moving on, team handshake. Well, these are the basic important, behavioral aspect which is needed to not just, be at its best or to be a good performing team, but also to make the organization grow with huge success. To understand the political climate of the climate's business, which is most important, the aspect of not just understanding the synergy within the organization, but the climatic, conditions as such. So to talk about the climatic condition, I do not necessarily mean the weather condition outside, but I certainly mean the part which is, how do we plan, get the, subjective plan together and work towards forming a goal. Moving on, identifying the best people for the relationship team. That is, not everybody has a natural interpersonal skills that comes in, by a flow, but you have to recognize not just as a team member, but also as a mid-level manager. So basically, mid-level manager will not just get this responsibility, the person is also responsible and can be groomed to become a leader tomorrow. So it is imperative as a mid-level management cadre, if you are at, it is important that you don't just recognize the right skill set amongst the people, also recognize somebody who can take and retain the relationship forward. Moving on, identifying the best people for the transactional team, that is a person who not work on the business transaction, but also the human transaction too. So there are a lot of people who are quite adaptive for a fact that they love connecting with a human being. So that set of people have to be aligned to a common agenda, which is connecting with people to be part of a human resource team. Transactional team again also has certain business transaction. Somebody is very analytical, somebody who is good at business, somebody who can grasp the information and knowledge, technical aspect of the business, then you have to recognize that person towards transactional team as a member. Whether there is any backup or replacement for the team members, well, this is most important element, not just motivating, training or managing the team. The other role to look out on an overall aspect is, to understand who is in the verge of leaving the organization, or somebody who is not at a performing basis, and you want to sort of replace the person with the existing person or person who is a good performer because of the criticality of the business. Moving on, the depth of the organization and the level up to which the mid-level managers have access. Well, they have access certainly not just for the junior staff, they also have access to the executive management team, and with the conversation that they constantly have with the top management, leadership cadre. So to understand this statement better, what is most important to analyze out here is it's basically a phase, or a phase that a mid-level manager is between the junior staff to somebody who is has a top level management leadership team. Whether they can access certain internal customer discussions or related topics. Most important thing, not just understanding and analyzing whether this team is going in a very smooth scale, and they are able to achieve what they are able to achieve in terms of the targets being set, in terms of what is being committed as a goal. Aside this, the mid-level management has this as one of the most critical alignment towards their own personal goal. Moving on to understand cross-functional team, well, the word itself talks about it. Well, different domains can be function together. Well, this is the most important aspect in any organization. If you want to allow an organization to succeed, then this stage has to be taken into account in a quite positive manner, in a very critical aspect, with the whole sensitization that cross-functional team aspect can lead us towards the success of the organization. Moving on, mid-level managers type, a visionary mid-level manager. To talk about it, there are different type of mid-level managers. So we will go through these terms and stages one by one, to not just dissect and understand what the words hold here, but how are we even actually linking these terms with the mid-level management cadre. So a visionary leader, somebody who visualizes the success, somebody who has a vision for an individual and also for the organization, or somebody who aligns the vision of the individual with the organization. Moving on, managers with the strategy and planning capabilities. Not just visualizing can lead you towards success. Well, visualizing can certainly lead us to daydreaming at times. What is most important out here is once we visualize, once we have a plan, how do we execute the plan? How and well can we actually chalk out a design to move on to talk about it. So this stage technically talks about the implementation stage, which is the planning stage which has been concluded, and we move on towards planning and executing it. Mid-level managers who are good mentors, well, mentorship plays a super important role, be it a stage at a junior level or be it at the cadre of a top leadership level. Let's understand the fact that unless and until we have been mentored by somebody, unless and until somebody mentors us, or maybe if I don't take the initiative of mentoring somebody, I can certainly not succeed on an individual basis. Moving on, honest mid-level managers, well, honesty is the most important virtue of a human being, be it in the personal life or professional life. It has always been said, even soft skills as a topic, as a subject, has to be practiced back home in order to make it quite a natural attempt to act at a professional level. So honesty as an important virtue has to be aligned and applied in each step of management and leadership conversation, and making it more effective is what we all have to move towards planning it. A communicative and considerate manager, well, most important thing as a manager is the communication that you hold with your team members. Unless and until you make it conversational attempt, it's going to be super utter failure, because people would still have that label that you're a manager, you've been biased because you've been manager, you've been biased because you have certain favoritism towards certain set of people, maybe certain biasness that you carry because of your religion, creed, sex, caste, or anything for that matter. So what is most important, make it attempt to be more conversational with the team members, and try and be considerate. Well, considerate is a very subjective word. If I allow one of my team members to take leave often, maybe the team member can label me as a considerate manager, but understand, can you actually afford to do so? So weigh the machine clearly, and then you take a call as to what consideration means as a mid-level manager for your own self. Managing professional and personal life balance, well, this is something we all have to take a talk on, and probably we all have to be subjected to a certain brainstorming session where best practices in the discussion that comes in has to be applied, incorporated, and then shared amongst our team members. Moving on, managers who are innovative thinkers, well, this is the need of the hour. Every organization who succeeded to a level where we never imagined that they could go beyond the vision statement, beyond the mission statement. I keep giving examples such as organizations such as Microsoft, Google. They have really done it as a deal. So they just have a simpler thought that when you have 80% of right people who have been hired for an organization, your maximum part of your job role is taken care. That is, as a CEO, as a COO, your maximum part of the job role is taken care, because you have 80% set people who are absolutely bang on with their, not just their commitments, but also their innovation, their creativity that they get to the table, to the organization as such. Mid-level managers committed to a win-win mentality, well, this is all the approach towards being a successful organization, because unless until you have a win-win mentality, a win-win, the vision, it is totally a difficult task to go ahead and achieve what we all want to achieve as a success towards the organization. Moving on, pronouncing leadership, well, I do not mean you pronounce the word leadership, but you walk the talk. When I say I want a leader who is more considerate and more communicative, I should also have the attribute towards moving towards the same philosophy, that is, being more conversational with my management and considerate towards my management as such. Nobody is a born leader. Well, I would really like to hear a discussion from you guys. Do drop in your comments in the comment box below, and do share your thoughts as to what do you feel. Well, this is one of the most debatable topic, debatable phrase. Honestly, yes, nobody is born a true leader. We all get groomed. We all get qualities honed. Maybe because of my job role that demands, maybe because I have that cautious attempt that I want to make towards being there in terms of my grooming sense as a leader, or maybe I've been asked to groom myself as a better leader. So this particular phrase not always holds good, but yes, people who are born leaders as well have always groomed themselves. They have not just sat back thinking that, well, I'm a born leader because the world is saying so, let me not just go and groom my attributes of leadership skill. Well, the most important attribute of the word leadership skill is not just good communication, but also making that attempt to inspire, motivate, and walk the talk. Basically, you're supposed to walk the talk of to every statement that you utter, everything that you speak, and you just don't have to like be there in terms of managing and allowing the team members to follow you. You just have to follow yourself and be a source of inspiration. So you basically improve the willpower of an individual as a leader. You basically motivate them to go ahead and achieve the task. So these are the most important attributes of leadership qualities. Well, I personally feel one most important quality for leadership skill is your emotional intelligence. Be intelligent enough to understand what the emotions are running behind an individual in their mind, and as a leader, I have all the rights to ask a person, of course, as to what is going wrong and what is not being unfair to them. So it's most important to understand not everyone is born as a leader. So we all get groomed, and we take up certain tasks as the a senior leader, or probably the best leader award, or the most important person in the organization. To talk about the conclusion for this particular video tutorial that we are here at, we just basically wanted you guys to get introduced to the term mid-level managers, understanding different types of mid-level managers. So we would recommend, and I strongly suggest, that go through our text tutorial on our website www.tutorialspoint.com. Under this, you have to visit soft skills tutorial library, and you can see the content text there. And do sharing your thoughts and observation if this video was something that was helpful for you, and if yes, no, and if yes, if no, why. So thank you for watching.